Covering the NBA for the better part of 30 years. He'll be on Speak at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, my friend Ric Bucher. So we know, I mean, you can see what the Heat are doing. They've moved off Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. Mm-hmm. You can see what they're doing. They've moved off shooters. Mm-hmm. They're going to pay for one big shooter. I don't think they have a lot they can give Portland back. So give me tell me how the Miami-Portland thing's going to work, because it's obvious. Yeah. They're working behind the scenes like mad. Yeah. It's obviously going to happen.
Yeah, well, if they can find a place for Tyler Hero, and supposedly Brooklyn is interested, you can do a 3-team deal. Okay. This is not just, look, the Portland Trailblazers are not going to get back equal talent.
Right.
But with Kyle Lowry, with Duncan Robinson, with Tyler Hero, you can make the numbers
and a bunch of picks.
And that's the tricky part, is that you're looking at picks like 28 and 30, like picks down the line for Miami. If Portland wants something a little more recent, then they've got to bring in a third team, and Brooklyn would be a natural team to do that with, because they just have a slew of picks. So that's what they could do. But let's keep in mind, look, GM Joe Cronin has to say, we're going to do what's best for the team and all of that stuff. But when push comes to shove, players always end up going where they want to go, and the teams make the best of it. Donovan Mitchell is really the only exception that I can think of where he ended up not going where he wanted to go, which was New York. But we'll see down the line how that plays for the Utah Jazz, because what you're basically, one of the things that the teams try to do is convince players, when you come here, we're going to pay you. If it doesn't work out, we'll help you get to another good place.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then teams or players and agents are going to be a little more reluctant in doing a deal with you long term, because they're thinking, okay, if it doesn't work out here, who knows where they're going to send me.
Milwaukee's a disappointment. They were clearly a team that got old really fast.
Yeah.
And I watched this weekend, and they're still really old.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Brook Lopez, they got him back on a 2-year deal and a decent number. I don't have a problem with that. Chances are you've got to play against Embiid, and if you're playing against Jokic, Brook Lopez makes a lot of sense, right? He gives you an advantage. The Chris Middleton piece is the one that I just don't get. Giannis has to be healthy and 100%. Otherwise, they are just not a very athletic team.
They're not.
And I haven't seen any additions that they've made to this point that would change that. So they're staying with what they've got. Again, one of the things to keep in mind with all of this is that we do have this new CBA coming in.
Yeah.
And
explain that to the audience.
Yeah, well, there's just, you get to a certain point and your ability to add anything is taken away. It's why the Clippers would entertain James Harden, because not so much because they think they're going to be appreciably better, but because he's only on a 1-year deal. And same thing with the Golden State Warriors, like moving off of Jordan Poole. It was because those are the number 1 and number 2 teams in salary this year. They need to be able to get fiscally responsible. Otherwise, like when a John Wall or a Russell Westbrook or these guys on big contracts are waived, you're not allowed to pick those up. You don't have any exemptions. Like, your ability to sign just about anybody to anything other than a minimum contract goes away if you're up on that second apron. So that's why we're seeing a lot of teams, like why you're seeing Miami Heat kind of clear the decks in order to be able to go after Damian, rather than just say, let's try to hold serve and add Damian. It gets really expensive, and owners, no matter how much they might want a championship, are still looking at the bottom line.
I may be called a Draymond and Warriors apologist, but I think officially, I do not feel they're a championship team. I think Brook Lopez wasn't going to happen, but I think they needed a big. Now, Kuminga now and Moody have to play. Mm-hmm. 24 to 26 minutes a night. They have to play.
Well, and that's why adding Chris Paul makes sense, because Chris Paul with those young players can get them shots. He can organize them as part of the second unit. Not having a big, but that's everybody. Everybody is facing that outside of Philadelphia and Milwaukee. Who has a big to match up with Jokic if you consider yourself a title contender? He is the new wrinkle that everybody is trying to solve. In the same way they had to solve LeBron at one point. They had to solve Steph and Dre at one point.
But the truth is, nobody solved Duncan, Jordan, Shaq, LeBron, and I don't think you can solve Jokic. You just try to mitigate his dominance. Very much so.
And then the other theory is we're not even going to try to solve it. We're going to try to run him off the floor. Like we're going to present a bigger wrinkle to them by playing smaller, faster. I think that's what you see the Phoenix Suns trying to do. But to your point on Draymond, yeah, I don't see them as a title contender at this point either. But what the move that they made to me is Draymond is as important to Steph and Klay Thompson as Steph and Klay are to Draymond. They had no interest in seeing those two without Draymond. Because everybody, the general thing out there is as well, Draymond's the beneficiary of playing with Steph and Klay. Well, they are very much the beneficiaries of playing with him as well.
Yeah, and I think the Warriors continue to
show
you that.
The Warriors know that better than anybody.
I look at the Lakers. I said, don't confuse revolutionary and common sense. From the Westbrook move on, Rob Pelinka's done a lot of GM 101 stuff. Of course, you retain Rui and Reeves. You move off Schroeder. I would have moved off D'Lo, but it's a very workable 2-year deal, meaning it's a 1-year deal. If he wears you out, you can move off him. Most of the stuff he's done, it's just basic, good, solid.
Sensible.
Like, he didn't do a Danny Ainge deal here. I still think their whole season next year comes down to cross your fingers on AD's health. That's the whole team.
AD and LeBron.
I can live without LeBron because I think Austin Reeves can run. I think Austin Reeves can run the offense. AD leaves. Nothing against Jackson Hayes, but there's limited guy.
Here's my question: who's your go-to guy? Who's your go-to guy with the game on the line?
LeBron.
Who do you hand the ball to?
LeBron. Yeah, you're right.
And LeBron wasn't able to do it in 2 of the 4 games against the Denver Nuggets. And I'm not like that's just the reality. I mean, let's look at it sensibly. You're asking a 39-year-old, even though it's LeBron James,
another long playoff run on his legs,
another 82 games or whatever, 60 games, whatever, and then playoff run. You're asking a 39-year-old to be your go-to guy with the game on the line against. He wanted no part of there, so that's why they're always running pick and roll to switch off. He didn't want to go one-on-one with Aaron Gordon. Not at this stage of his career.
No.
Give me Jamal Murray, and I might get something done.
No, LeBron at this point knows what he is and what he isn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't want those long defenders.
That's why he's playing off the ball as much as he is, and like trying to find those matchups before he goes. So that to me, that is the great Achilles heel. Here is it's not the supporting cast. The supporting cast is solid. You have everything that you could want.
I will say, between Vincent and Rui and Reeves and their draft picks, it's for the first time I came out of this weekend and I thought, I can see the future a little bit. Like I see youth and I see shooting. The start of this year, I'm like, they can't shoot and they're old. Like I feel, and I didn't know if Austin Reeves, but I felt after the weekend, I'm like, I see some sunlight in the horizon.
Yeah.
More shooting, more youth, good length.
Yep.
I'm like, Jackson Hayes, it's length. Rui's length.
The difficulty is where the bar is set for the Lakers always. You can't just be good. Like, they could be good. They could be good with that crew.
Well, they sell out good.
You've always had either Kobe or LeBron.
Yeah.
And they might sell out, but nobody's showing up. So.
Are you still, do I have to persuade you into, so I look at Phoenix. So they've got 3 elite players and a temperamental big. They went and got a good bench shooter and a stretch 4. Yep. They got a couple of guys the Spurs developed with size bigs. They're just 8 minutes a game guys.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I think if you look at what championship teams generally are, especially now with Denver, length, shooting, adults, championship winning coach, bench is fine. It's okay. Basically, the Nuggets won with an 8-man rotation. You are not satisfied with this Phoenix roster. There's something. Is it the KD? What is it? What don't you like?
Who's your floor leader? Who, when things get difficult, is gonna lead you out of the forest?
Why can't Bradley Beal do that?
Has he ever come in remotely close to doing that at a championship level?
Well, John Wall ran the offense, and not always well.
Fair.
Okay, so he wasn't really allowed to run the offense, but he also was in weird cultures and multiple coaches. Don't you see, like, veteran players you see in all sports go to a really winning culture, and it's like, oh, it was like Wiggins. You're like, there's a new player.
Yeah. Damian Lillard was in Portland. I don't know about that culture. I don't know about that group. But you never questioned that Damian Lillard was a leader of that team and that he was going to take them.
But that's a functional organization.
Okay.
I mean, Wizards aren't even functional.
All right. Well, what convinces you that Phoenix is functional? We got a brand new owner. We got a shadow GM in Isaiah Thomas.
I love shadow GMs.
Don't underestimate. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, the Lakers have gone through that.
But basically, Beal's chill.
Beal's not telling Booker and KD what to do. He's just not.
Well,
He's not coming in there with that kind of authority.
Jokic doesn't do it either. I heard during the finals, the players were like, Jokic talked yesterday before the game. Like, he's not a verbal guy.
But no, he's not a verbal guy. But he doesn't have to be a verbal guy because he orchestrates everything on the floor.
So you don't trust Phoenix in a tight spot. Who runs them?
Yeah.
Well, I could say
who's leading us out of the forest.
Who's leading Boston out of the forest?
Well, and that's why Boston has had the problems that it's had. You're with me there. See, you're with me. You are with me. You just don't realize you're with me. We see the same things.
I tell my wife that constantly. She goes, "You're in your own head." I said, "I'm with you. You don't know that I'm with you, but I'm with you." I'm just thinking about tomorrow's rant.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think this is it. I'm a huge Beal fan. Because there's a part of me, and I don't know why this is. It's some psychological nonsense.
Yeah.
There's part of me that feels bad for young people that work their arse off. They go to a bad company, a bad culture, a bad boss.
Yes.
And they bust their tail. They're total pros. 8 years. Nobody says anything. And then they finally, if you work hard and you're a good guy, you'll get a break. Wiggins finally is like, he's a good guy, works hard. He got a break, and you're like, oh, the guy can play.
Yeah.
Like Jalen Brunson, second rounder. Nobody loved him. Didn't fit in Dallas. It's like, no, he was going to work. He needed to start the culture. I have a soft spot for that kind of player.
I get that. And by all accounts, Bradley Beal's a good guy, a good dude, but he has been compensated massively for staying in Washington. So it's not like
everybody in this league gets paid. I can't hold it against the guy for getting paid.
I'm not holding it against him, but he had the option. Like this culture is. I'm better than this culture. My goals are higher than this culture.
What if he had a nice fixer-upper, good elementary school for the kids, and just cared about that?
Yeah. Okay.
3-bedroom fixer-upper. He had a nice home.
It always comes back to real estate for you, and I'm glad that you found a place.
Yeah. No. So my soft spot is, and I don't know where it comes from because I have had a nice life, but there is this sort of thing like I feel bad because I'm not good. Remember the show Intervention? Mm-hmm. I watched 5 minutes of it. I couldn't do it. Everybody loves the show Succession. I watched 2 episodes this weekend. I can't do it. I don't like the characters. Mm-hmm. So I have something in my personality. It's a flaw. It's a hole. It's a liability, perhaps, that I don't like these conflict, combustible people. And then there's always a good kid in the middle of that, a young lady or a young guy.
Yeah.
And he's swimming with a bunch of sharks. And I'm like, just give this kid a fair shot.
See, this is the tricky part when it comes to the NBA because the sharks are the ones that get you to the championship. The great white sharks, the ones, the great players that I've known, whether it's like Kobe or Jason Kidd or any of these guys that I've gotten to know really well. Yeah. And people say, well, are you friends with them? I'm going, they're great white sharks. Like, can you be a friend with a great white shark? Like, as long as you are useful and you see things and you're swimming in the same direction, they're good. But did I always know that something goes a little side? Like, I've seen the competitive sharp edge of all of those guys.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the NBA being such a ruthless place. It's tough. Chris Paul. Like, it's tough to be a nice guy all the time and survive. Steph Curry might be the one exception to that, and that's only because he's got a Doberman and Draymond next to him.
That's a really good point. Never thought about that. You used that white shark thing before? I like that.
No, first time right here. Broke it out. Well, I don't even know if this was a good day to do it. Maybe I should have saved it.
Can we put the red bar for breaking metaphor? Breaking metaphor on the show. Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. So Bradley Beal doesn't have he doesn't quite have that.
He's
nice
I don't
guy.
see great white shark in him.
All right.
Let's put it that way.
More dolphin. Friendly, likable. Although they're supposed to be terribly mean. Dolphins are supposed to be like mean. Good communicators.
They can be tough.
They can be tough.
They can be tough.
All right. Great seeing you, Bukes. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.